Hello, and welcome to our February edition of Teen Reads. My name is Becca Phillipson, and I'm with the Pikes Peak Library District, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about some different romance novels. Okay, so the first book I'm going to talk about is called A Pho Love Story. It's by Lone Lee, and it's coming out February 9th, I believe. And this is a really fun one. It is about two main characters whose parents own rival restaurants. So they have restaurants on opposite corners of the street, and their whole lives, both characters have just heard their parents really rag on the other family. There's always been this unspoken rule between them that they aren't supposed to talk to each other, even though they both really want to talk to each other. And so, of course, it's a romantic comedy. There is a series of events that kind of leads them to interacting more, and that is where I had to stop. I didn't get a chance to finish this one, and I really liked it, though. There's definitely this kind of sort of like Romeo and Juliet sort of energy between them, in the sense that they're not supposed to talk to each other. And I also really liked that the author included sort of this storyline of parental expectations and how to deal with those. And so both characters have issues with what their parents expect of them and what they actually want to do. And so seeing how they sort of work through those is something that I'm interested in reading more about as well in this story. So this next book is called Hot British Boyfriend, and it is by Kristy Boyce. It also comes out on February 9th. It was one that I actually did read all the way through. I read two all the way through. I was proud of myself. And the main character goes through this like terrible embarrassment during the summer. And when I tell you it's bad, I had to physically put the book down and like take a breather because of how much secondhand embarrassment I got for this poor girl. And of course, because it is the world we live in, everyone had phones. It was recorded everywhere. It was all over Instagram. And so kind of to get away from it, she joins last minute the study abroad program over in England. And so she gets to study abroad program and meets this hot British guy who becomes her boyfriend. And lots of different things happen throughout the course of the book. I don't want to spoil it, but that's how it's set up. And so the characters seemed a little flat and immature at the beginning, but I think that was maybe intentional by the author, because I felt like by the end, especially the main character had grown so much. So I think you were supposed to kind of see that juxtaposition happen over the course of the book. I also really liked the little bit of a perspective we got about those people who do go viral. And, you know, for her, maybe it wasn't something that was like nationally viral, but within her high school, everyone knew about it, and she was it was really embarrassing for her. And so just getting that perspective of like, what would it be like if everyone saw this video of you doing something terribly embarrassing, and just putting that into perspective, I thought was really interesting. I also felt very old. I just have to say this, I'm obviously not a teenager anymore, but at one point when she meets her, you know, British boyfriend, it's just like out at this farmer's market. She doesn't know him, and he's like, let me give you a ride back to your school. And I was like, do not get into strange cars with men that you don't know and overseas. And then I was like, oh, I'm very old, because that's my reaction. So yeah, Hot British Boyfriend. Please do not get into cars with strange men if you're watching this. Okay, so the Meet Cute Project was the other one that I read all the way through. It is by Rhiannon Richardson, and it was out in January. And basically the main character, Mia, has to find a date to her sister's wedding to walk her down the aisle. And if she doesn't, she has to go down the aisle with the groom's kind of nerdy, like 10-year-old or something brother who just plays Nintendo Switch all the time, which I was like, hey, I like the Nintendo Switch. What does that say about me? Anyway, but it's great if you, I think, especially like kind of the cheesy romantic comedy meet cute stories, because what her friends decide to do is that they will each come up with a meet cute for her to do, and she will hopefully find a date that she can bring to the wedding through that. So she goes through the series of meet cutes, you know, how those things are where you like run into each other and you spill a bunch of papers and then you like brushed hands while you're picking the papers up, and it's love at first sight. And so it's just a really cute, happy, fun story. You know, she has stumbles along the way where she thinks she's found someone but realizes they're not quite the person that she thought they were, she wants to be with, until she finds the right guy. So that's just a really fun one, with lots of those fun romantic comedy nods throughout it. Okay, so this next one I'm going to talk about is called Written in the Stars. It is by Alexandria Bellefleur, and it is really cute. It is one I did not get all the way through, mostly because I was listening to it as an audiobook and had to give it back because other people were waiting for it. I have not gotten it back yet, so I still haven't finished it. It's very cute though. It is, it came out in November of 2020, so it's out and ready for anyone to read. It has some really nice nods to Pride and Prejudice, so if you're a big Pride and Prejudice junkie, try it out. You can, I like to play the game of like, oh, spot the Pride and Preference reference. Also, if you like astrology, a lot of those references are in there too. So it is a queer rom-com where Darcy is a uptight actuary and Elizabeth is a more carefree social media astrologer, and so they are set up on a date and it does not go well, and then there's a whole a ruse of sorts that they concoct for various reasons, and that was where I had to give it back. But I am really enjoying it so far. Like I said, I love a good Pride and Prejudice reference, nod, allusion, retelling, anything. I will try it. And I also just love social media astrology, you know what I mean, like pop culture astrology too. So that's fun as well. So that's one I'm really excited to go ahead and finish too. All right, so these last two were ones I did not get to, but I was really interested in and thought looked interesting. The first one is called Happily Ever Afters, and it is by Elise Bryant. So that one was out in January. And this one just looked like a one that if you liked romantic comedies, it seemed right up your alley. Basically, this writer has hit writer's block, and she's normally writes romance books or stories, and so she turns to her own life to get inspiration. So it's kind of this like life imitates art imitates life circle that happens, and so basically it sounds like she tries to use romantic story plot lines in her own life and then use that as inspiration, and I'm sure shenanigans happen and misunderstandings, and then in the end they come together. That's what I'm guessing happens, but I haven't read it yet. It sounds really interesting though, and that's Happily Ever Afters by Elise Bryant. Okay, so this last one seems a little less cutesy and a little more of a mystery, but it's called 11 Paper Hearts. And the main character, the year before on Valentine's Day, gets in a car accident and loses her memory from a couple weeks leading up to it. And so sometime in those weeks, she dumps her boyfriend. She doesn't really know why. And then a year later, she starts getting these paper heart notes from a secret admirer, and so she kind of has to make the choice of like pursuing figuring out who's behind these notes or not, and finding out what happens when she does. And so yeah, this one was just intriguing because it's just a little bit of a different take on the whole romance novel. It's not your normal cutesy one, but it was really intriguing, and I wanted to talk about it at this little video. So hopefully you heard about a book that you thought sounded interesting if you're into romance novels. If you want to keep finding more romance novels, I highly suggest using one of our databases. It is called Novelist Plus. You can get to it on our website, ppld.org. It is great because you can use it to find other books that you might like. So what I like to do is I will type in a book I like, and then it will give you 6 recommendations, well, 6 to 10 recommendations of other titles you might like as well. You can also search by different features of books. So maybe you really like a strong protagonist. Maybe you really like evocative scenery. You can search by that too. So you can really narrow down to just the books that you want to find. So none of these sounded appealing. Definitely go check out Novelist Plus. It's a great way to find other books that you might like. And that's the end of our February teen reads. So please If you liked this, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel so you get notified when we do more of these. And next month we'll be back with more recommendations. Thanks, guys.